suspended already, of course, as we all know. But then the issues haven't doused or died yet, as there's still a whole lot to look at. So, like I said, please join me on YouTube, on our YouTube page. That is Nigeria Info 95.1 Abuja, okay? Nigeria Info 95.1 Abuja. We're streaming live. You can join us there, and also on Facebook. So we'll be looking at different angles, different shades, and different, issues that have been raised with regards to the budget padding. And then also constituency project, because it started off as one and now it's metamorphosed, or it has morphed into more issues with regards to constituency project and amounts allotted to each legislature. Some of them are denying blatantly, saying this is not the amount, as claimed by Senator Jarigbe, who actually brought that up in the course of trying to debate the back and forth about the Ningi allegation. Most of the senators were actually more concerned and, about the integrity, saying that the allegation or the claims raised by Ningi about an extra 3 trillion or 3-point-something trillion, being run concurrently by both the executive and also one, on the other hand, that has been passed by the National Assembly is of big concern to them. Many of them said it's an affront on the hallowed chamber, and then going out to the press to express something of that nature shouldn't have been done in the way. Even though the Senator Ningi himself is expressing his stance and saying that he's done nothing wrong and he's glad to be suspended as long as he's standing for what is true. So it's a bunch of controversy. So we will be still looking at the issues, and also asking questions at the end of the day. So just come along with me as we start. More controversies over the 3.7 trillion naira gap in the 2024 budget. There appears to be swirling, around the 2024 budget as more indications that the portion of the budget attributed to some federal government institution lack details and transparency. Okay, the affected institutions, including INEC, were allotted or allocated between 3.5 trillion and 3.7 trillion without specific expenditure heading or stipulation of what the monies were meant for. And that's what people have been asking questions about. Like, how do you allocate monies without details? It's a question to actually ask, because at least people need to know, for the sake of accountability. You don't just allocate and then no detailed explanation. So that will fuel, speculations and rumors of corruption whatsoever it is. Now, if people get it broken down to bits and pieces, at least we know that this is what has been allocated or allotted for what. And then if there be questions as to procurement process and all of that, then people are also able to, raise these issues or ask the questions and all of that. So that's one part of it there. Okay. We continue with the story. INEC is one of them that has between 3.5 to 3.7 trillion without specific expenditure heading or stipulation of what monies were going to meant for. There were some of the findings of budget, which, of course, we all know is the CSO, like I was saying, that is at the forefront of, scrutinizing, analyzing, and making, facts known to Nigerians. They try to make a lot of analysis of the budget and bring out very salient issues that need to be scrutinized and looked at critically. Okay, so Budget, which is a fiscal policy analytics and advocacy organization, with its co-founder Sheun Onigbinde, declared that Senator Abdul Ningi, who blew the whistle on the budget, was right about the low level of transparency in the 2024 budget. And this came as the minority leader of the Senate, Abba Moro, expressed concerns yesterday that the Senate is currently having credibility problems following suspension of the whistleblower, Senator Abdul Ningi. And this is even as Bauchi State Governor Bala Mohammed also yesterday threw his weight behind Senator Ningi the lawmaker representing Bauchi Central Senatorial District, who was handed a 3-month suspension by the Senate for his expose, just as Civil Society and Legislative Advocacy Center, CISLAC, and Transparency International in Nigeria declared Senator Ningi's suspension as sheer attack on freedom of expression and opposition's right. Similarly, the presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, Mr. Peter Obi, urged the Senate to come clean and clear all allegations associated with the 3 trillion padding in the 2024 budget. Onigbunde of Budget, who was a guest on a TV show, late Tuesday, stated that there should be a detailed breakdown of the budget. On that point, Senator Ningi is right. That's what he said. Ningi of the PDP resigned as chairman of the Northern Senators Forum, even as he was suspended by his colleagues in the Red Chambers on Tuesday over budget allegation. Now, budget fact checks, okay? Budget actually has fact checked a lot of the issues that have been brought up, and Onigbinde, who is the founder, actually said, as the Senate's rowdy session was going on, we were also fact-checking, and one of the things we found out is that we're not able to lay hold to the claim by Senator Ningi. Okay, we were not able to lay hold to the claim by Senator Ningi. A budget of 28.7 trillion was passed into law, and we're not able to see where the 3.7 trillion was missing. Historically, there are items in the budget that don't have breakdown, like statutory transfers, but that does not mean that there is a certain level of capital projects by the federal government that was appropriated and does not have a breakdown. He said the entire capital project was around 9 trillion in 2024 Appropriation Act signed into law by President Bola Tinubu after the bill was reviewed upward from 27.5 to 28.78 trillion. The budget we have now have ministries, departments, and agencies, and the government-owned enterprise budget. Around 2 trillion of the budget presented by the president is the government-owned enterprises budget. So if Senator Ningi says there is a 25 trillion budget, yes, that is the MDA's budget. It's different from the government-owned enterprises budget, whose budget was now added. Okay? He goes on to say that it is factual that he says that, but it doesn't mean that we're running 2 concurrent budgets. There is a different conversation that those projects should be detailed. TED Fund should not just get an allocation. What are you spending money on? INEC is collecting a huge chunk of funds, but there is no public details about what the funds are used for. Now, these are some of the utterances of Onigbinde, who actually, being an organization that many look up to with regards to issues around the budget, came out to say, well, these are what they have discovered in the course of their own fact-checking concerning the budget. Now, remember that when the conversation was ongoing, or when the back and forth was going on in the hallowed chambers, with many of the senators rising to speak out about their grievances and their displeasure about how their senator and colleague went out to talk to the media instead of really, handling it the way that is prescribed, by the rules of the House and all of that. Other senators started making their own claims, okay? Jarigwe made up an allegation, or also talked about the fact that some senior ranking or, high-ranking senators received the tune of 500 million, while he said he did not receive that. That was what he said. For those of you who followed that proceeding or watched it thereafter, you saw that. And that also stirred up some sort of back and forth again, with Senator Ndume also adding or lending his own voice to this conversation. Chief Whip of the Senate, he said that each senator was allocated 200 million for constituency projects in the 2024 budget. And speaking in an interview on Wednesday, Ndume said 10 senators who are leaders, including himself, got more than 200 million in constituency allocations. Of course, you don't expect that he's going to say that out, do you? Over the past few days, controversy has ensued over the 2024 budget amid allegation of padding and project insertions. Last Saturday, Abdul Ningi, senator representing Bauchi Central, stirred controversy when he alleged that the budget was padded to the sum of 3 trillion by the Senate. Okay, so yes, we've talked about the Ningi situation, and right now, what I want us to whittle that down to are the constituency project fees or amounts or monies that are given to some of these senators. Of course, we know that it's a known fact. And we've seen earlier on in the year how there has been a push to probably increase that because it's not enough, as was noted by, I can't remember who the senator was who talked about that earlier on. I think that was sometime last month, and said that the allocation for constituency project needed to be increased. So today, we look at constituency project allocation to senators, with some claiming, that each senator collects 500 million, and some are saying they got less than that. Okay? I remember one of the claims of Ningi was the fact that having gone through the budget and making his own discoveries, he said, or he claimed, that there are some, constituencies that were allocated billions, over 100 billions. And he said his own constituency got less than 2 billion, and some even less than billions. And these are some of the claims. And right now, with some of the senators coming out to talk about the integrity and trust for the hallowed chambers, or the legislative arm of government, let me put it that way, it has raised questions and questions. The legislative arm has been in the eye of the storm severally, spanning different administration. And mostly it has to do with issues of the budget and allocation for either personal stuff, houses, cars, luxury items, things that when you go through the budget, sometimes you just wonder, why is there a repetition? So, for example, every time they come back, there always has to be the issue of cars. And you can just point a lot of things, and sometimes you just feel, hey, these things are not necessary. So it has come to the point where many people are raising questions as to, okay, Senator Ninki might not be accurate, or he might not have gotten his facts so right, so to speak, but you cannot wipe away iotas of truth or some sort of things that need to actually be fact-checked, to actually ensure that we're getting it right. Because at a time where we are, and, with the economic meltdown, many people have questioned our priority as a nation, as a country, with regarding to some of the things you find on the budget. And even the budget in itself, many people have asked how realistic that is going to be, knowing fully well that it was prepared at a time when things had not gone down the way they have with regards to the currency, forex, and a lot of things, and the benchmarks. So most of them might not go down right. Okay, but not speaking to that. Let's talk about the constituency projects, like I said, allocation to the senators. Now it has become like a mini sort of controversy, as some said, well, we have not been receiving that sort of amount. And some say, well, you have. Like Jarwe made the allegation, Ndume has come out to say, well, yes, principal officers got more than that. So the question is, how much did these people get anyways? So it brings me to the question of constituency project allocation for legislators who get these things. And for you who is a constituent, because nobody would say that he or she does not fall under some sort of, constituency, back in your home state, or if you even come from the FCT here. And then trying to measure how much these people have put into their constituencies in terms of the projects that they're expected. Looking at the primary responsibility of legislators, which is, of course, lawmaking, and then they also have oversight functions. It brings us to ask the question, do you think we need to reevaluate constituency allocation, to legislators? Are Nigerians confident? Do people reap off the dividends of this allocation given to their representatives in the, whether Senate or House of Representatives, or let's just put it in the legislature? Do people actually reap the benefits of that? Is it something that is sustainable, or it's something that, we need to look into and either stop it or rejig it in such a way that people feel the impact much more with regards to the allocation to their legislators? Okay, so that's the question this afternoon. I want us to talk about it. What do you think about constituency allocation? If it has to be continued, what are some of the reforms or what are some of the ways that you think it can better serve the constituents? Okay, and if also you feel it's not serving its purpose, what then? Would you propose that it be scrapped out? Listening to the amount, it's quite much. But some will say, well, maybe because of the inflation and all of that. But then we know that if there is money put in place or put in the hands of some people or allocated for things to be done, can we honestly say that constituency project allocation has worked in the process of our democracy over these years? Okay, so that's what I want us to talk about. Share your thoughts with me on some of this, the progress that you might have noticed or seen with regards to your own constituency, and the constituency allocation given to your representatives. Should it be continued? Is it realistic, or should it be reviewed? Talk with me on 080-999-30137 and 080-9597-4869. Twitter, the other number is 0700-951-0000. I'd love to hear from you as we get on with this conversation. Hello.
Hello, good afternoon, Swat.
Good afternoon to you.
Yeah, I'm Chris and I'm calling from Delhi right now. Hello, can you hear me?
Loud and clear, I can hear you. Go ahead.
Oh, okay, very good. I don't know, right from when I was small and up to this time around, personally, I don't know how to speak. I've never attempted it before. It's like I'm from where a lot of people and they are looking for something. Nothing is missing. People within me, they feel ashamed. Okay? They feel ashamed because I cannot see myself. I cannot imagine myself being around where people are looking for something. Because I don't know how the people around here will be seeing everybody, including me. Why do you say every now and then? There's something that people say, what I need is that regarding discussion now, only the leadership of National Assembly. The leadership of National Assembly, people don't visualize corruption.
Mr. Chris, your line is not clear at all. I don't know why, but you're sounding. Maybe if you can call me back, I think it will be better.
New host, new realities, true conversation.
This is Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
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 Nigeria Info.
Nigeria Info.
This is 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 Nigeria Info.
Audible, so people were struggling to hear, I bet. But you can call back when you have the time. 0700 951 0000 and 080 999 30137. We're revisiting the issue of constituency projects, and you share your thoughts about it as to how you think it has served Nigerians over the years. But if not, what sort of reforms do you think can be made, or do you think, are you one person who would advocate for the scrapping of constituency project allocation, as many Nigerians are beginning or revisiting this issue? I know several times, this has come up in our conversations, but it's back again, because it's worth looking at over and over. You don't just do it once and go away. So constituency project and the usefulness of it for constituents who vote their representatives into the legislative arm of government. How useful has it been? How effective has it been for people? But if not, is there any reform, or should it be scrapped? Let's hear from you as you call the numbers. Let's take this caller here. Hello?
Swat.
Yes, good afternoon.
Thank you, my sister. Good afternoon.
You're welcome.
Sister Deomi calling. I greet all the listeners and the callers. You asked a good fighter question to be scrapped. Yes, wait. For us, and wait. Who will fight for us? Are they not the same people? They will tell us that a lawmaker does not deserve to build laws, to make law. But look at them. They are sharing this. I remember during the feedback, this type of issue came up when they say a lawmaker is to just make a law. But they are fighting for constituency. You mentioned somebody who spoke about they should increase constituency project money. It is this man, Mongono from Borno. He has been in National Assembly since here at that time. What is it done to the people in Mongono? Likewise, Ndume was former House of Reps. During Jonathan. Today, they are there, Akpabio, all of them, including Ningi that is talking. I'm angry with that Ningi. You know why? You are part of these people. You see, statement, the allocation they gave to his own constituency is not up to the other one. It's referring to Akpabio. You can imagine these people. They are fighting for our own collective taxpayer money. Nigeria should not celebrate these people. Don't clap for Ningi, don't clap for Akpabio. They are all the same. I will continue saying. Is he fighting for the Bauchi people? And the governor who is talking, Bauchi governor, when he was in Senate, what did he do for his people? He was the former minister of health. What is the impact, the positive impact in our life through them? No, they are all collecting money here and there. You remember during last government, they were trying to mention they have to tell how much you people are collecting. They begin to tell us they will show us pay slip, they will show us receipt. You can see all the houses in Abuja, the estate, the plaza, the places. They are the owners. But my question now to you, my darling sister, who will make the law? Who will raise the bar that we should close anything pertaining concern? You will hear governor won't build road. The state senator, this one. In Abuja here, former senator of Abuja, can he come out now and tell me how many impact he has made in his people? Is he in Kuje? Is he in Boy? Is he in Amakia? Is he in Gwagwalada? I buried my elder brother, Mr. Abaka will call. Tell me, where is the candidate to build borehole in that Gwagwalada or Abaji? Nothing. They will collect money, they will just share for those all these staff supporters, 5,000, 2,000, buy matches, buy one bag of rice, share for people. As our experience, I want taxpayer. it should go. The law that we are, the constitution of Nigeria, the military constitution, is not favor us. It favor just you, which is a politician. It favor them. I'm not celebrating Lingi. He has been in the National Assembly since how many years? He is part of our party. Today now he's angry because the largest is not up to what he wants. He's now remembering that the party. I did not part of it.
All right. Round up, please. Other people are waiting.
Will you talk? Thank you, darling. Thank you, my sister.
Okay, thank you so much. Hello.
Swat.
Hi, good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Yes, welcome.
Thank you for the time with you. Concerning my name is
Okay, welcome.
Constitution project stuff. You see, I have always said, these guys, for them, politics is a game that they
Okay.
have no.
Justice of Peace, your line is cutting off too. I don't know.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me now?
Try talking, but if it doesn't work, then you may have to call back.
It must work, oh. Let it work. Touch up. Can you hear me now?
Yes, go ahead.
So, politics for these politicians is a game that they are playing, and they have no masses at heart. No matter what they come out on radio or TV to talk about, they have no masses at heart. Look at the same people that told us that things are tough, that there is no money, that Nigeria should sacrifice. Swat. Nobody talk about their salary. They are collecting it in quantum. Their newspaper allowance, their wardrobe allowance, their shoe allowance, their sitting allowance, nobody talks about it. They are collecting it. But in the same country, you tell the masses to sacrifice. These are what is still coming up. You are looting in a high level without thinking of the Nigerians that are in going through hunger issues. They are playing games. If it will be scrapped, no problem. Whoever said we should scrap constitutional problem, they have constitutional project. They have other things they will bring in through the back door to collect the money. They have so many things they will bring in. These people, their own is collect and collect and collect. God will judge them all.
All
God
right.
will judge.
Thank you so much for the contribution. Let's take another caller. Hello.
Hello, Adadorama.
Good afternoon.
Adadorama.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. This is Donatus calling from Niger State.
Okay.
Adadorama, those days in my community meeting, just what we talk, our late people, Liberty Nana, would say that you don't want this kind of talk. This talk is political. You understand? I now met what I was about to ask him. I said, please translate political for me. It's Siasu in Rauta. Then in Igbo language is political. Then politics of kata. You understand?
Politics of what?
Kata. That is political.
Okay.
You understand? You see the senators? Instead of somebody addressing himself as the Senate of the Republic of Nigeria, he will address himself as the Arewa Senate or the Western Senate. Don't you see that we're not going different direction with them? Just imagine. Okay, you address yourself as Arewa Senate, and we're having an emergency for more than 200 years ago. And you people are saying, you cannot sit and say, what are we going to do to this Talakawa? You understand? Nothing. The people that come from the southwest or southeast or south, the senators that come from there, if Edo Road, you have been there for almost 50 years. They cannot come together as Senate and say, what are we going to do to this road? Even for the allowance to say, you do something as a Senate, but they don't feel a lot that nobody is making any move. And you are talking about constituency projects. Even the Senate themselves should be scrapped out. They are not helping matters.
All right. Thank you.
At all. Thank you.
Okay, we have another caller here. Hello.
Hello.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. What?
Yes.
How is work?
Work is fine.
Well, this Peter calling from Abuja.
Okay.
Yeah, Swat, you see, all motion, no movement. That is the situation we have found ourselves. Constituency projects. Well, for me, that shouldn't be even the problem. That's not the problem of Nigeria as it stands now. The problem is the system itself. Somebody said if you remove constituency project, they will find another way to bring and something else. And that is the truth. And if you like, with the system of ground, go and hit yourself on the your head on the third road. These people will still do the same. Because from the electoral system.
Hello?
To the election is everything. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now. Hello? Okay. I think, Mr. Peter, you have to call back. I don't know what's happening. Hello?
Hello? Oh, I tried to call back, but this is Chris.
Okay.
Better now?
Yes.
Like I was saying, see, the leadership of Senate, with all this thing that is happening, it's just that people, I don't know how, is it that we can easily forget. Even before Akpabio came on board, we just knew when you mention somebody like that name, that name sounds to me synonymous with corruption. There is no
Mr. Chris, please, when you people make allegations on air, be very careful. Because these things, you have to prove it when you're called upon to. Okay?
No, I say when they mention certain names, I just bring it to my head because these people with the kind of the way they even come on board, I'm not expecting anything different. Do you understand? I am not saying the certain person took anything. No. I'm not the senator that is making any allegation. But what I am saying is that you shoot the first one, the branch of a tree, absorbs it. You shoot the second time. If at a single journey, an old woman falls twice because of a single journey, it becomes important, it becomes imperative that the content of the notice be recounted. That's actually what I'm saying. Is it only, even the senators themselves, I don't know how they are compelled to rally around somebody like that in the leadership of the Senate. Okay? You know, what is it about him? If nothing good is coming, no good news is coming from that place, they should change the leadership now. Never by force. That's actually what I am saying. What is happening in National Assembly is just arranging money, nothing more, nothing less.
All right. Thank you so much. Let's take on this one, then we'll now check up on the messages. Someone is on WhatsApp. Hello? 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 Good afternoon. Welcome.
Only woman, golden voice.
Thank you.
I hate you.
Oh, welcome.
About this, our leaders. To be honest with you, I don't think we have leaders in Nigeria. If there's any way to classify them, I will classify them as a I don't know if you use that word so that we don't be angry with me. But I traveled to my state, my community from Ondo State some years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. And I was surprised with what I saw as core constituency project. What they call it, this solar light. It didn't work for just only 2 months or 3 months. Since then, it has not been working. If you hear the billions allocated for this project, you will cry for Nigeria. Let's calculate the money we have been allocating for constituency projects since 1999. You will know that our politicians are wicked. They are worse than Yahoo boys.
Okay, Pastor TJ, please.
I'm sorry.
Please,
yes, mom.
I don't want you to use that word. I need you to withdraw it, please. No, that's unacceptable. Please.
I would withdraw that statement. But
Thank you.
I want to beg Nigeria politicians to pity our people. They're just sharing the money without a proof to show for it. The money they have shared so far is enough to build Dubai in Nigeria. That's my sake. They should repent before it's too. God bless you.
All right. Thank you so much. All right. Let's read messages. Let's read the messages of this afternoon because many people also have their opinions on the WhatsApp portal, which we're using for the message. Okay, this one said, please. Oh, no, okay, this is not for me. Madam Swat, you can see the cost of running a presidential system of government in Nigeria. It's taking the nation backwards because of corrupt leadership. Nigerians, let's stand up to claim our nation from hands of those who are oppressing us. And this one says, good afternoon, SWAT. We are not interested in any suspension saga, rather the works that are mandatory for them. And that's what Hafsat says. Then Ambik from Guag said 500 million for unaccounted and unverifiable constituency project without checks and balances, and yet there will always be monies to release and fund those projects. But if it is people project like wage award, minimum living wage, workers, and our personal houses and standard of living funding, they will tell you there's no money. Nigeria is broke. The treasury is almost empty. We should bear and be patiently abiding, and above all, our religious politicians in the name of clerics, pastors, and clergies will re-echo their voice by asking us to pray and call upon God. This one says this so-called constituency payment should be scrapped. This is really taken from our Commonwealth. Let them give that money to the states and local government so that they can reach the people. National Assembly is to make laws and not to implement projects. God will, from Brick City. And then this one is coming in from Mr. Daniel in Kurudu, Phase 5. He said, Sister Swat, Senator Ningi is saying nothing but the truth. He is in the situation room and knows what is happening. So it is high time for our legislatures to bring to us, to begin to tell us, the electorates, what dirty games or what games some of our corrupt leaders are putting Nigeria in. Okay, money meant for constituency project are actually monies pocketed among stakeholders of the constituency because there's no project delivered by these legislators. This month, over 2 billion was shared to area councils in the FCT, but these monies are mere settlement for political office holders, including governors who have been collecting security votes over time. Mike in Kagini sends that in. Okay, moving on to more messages. Banky Unitako said, lobbying is a hallmark of democracy, especially representative democracy, which the presidential system is all about. The lobbying in the United States gave rise to the pork barrel politics, which is the equivalent of our present-day constituency project. That of U.S. carried out by the executive and oversighted by the legislators, and thus less incorrupt, while the Nigeria is more about legislators and thus very corrupt. We should allow presidency carry out the projects, while the interested legislators should carry out oversight to ensure quality completion of the constituency project. Thank you, Mr. Banky Nutako. Okay, Ningi, that I know, is not a coward. He's a man who stands by what he says. Suspending him changes nothing as he passes his message. For this, the president would take into its yield that Abdul Ahmed Ningi's name. Okay, thank you. More. Just be a bit patient. I'll come back to it. Your question on whether the project be stopped or allowed to continue. Sincerely, Pop Nigerians must be for it to be quickly stopped. I heard Senator Ndume on television program, and he was bragging that each of them got almost 500 million for constituency project. It means that it's just an avenue for them to work in alliance with some ministry and contractors to get those allocated funds. Constituency project doesn't exist anywhere. It's more of a mirage. The more you look, the less you see. In summary, if God can help us, let it stop, because left for the senators, they can never allow it to go. Thank you, ma'am. Elaine Martins, thank you so much. Okay, a lot of messages here. This one says, well, good afternoon. We have enough resources to meet our needs, but not our greed. Constituency projects should be done with. Okay, if lawmakers want to do any project, it should be done with their personal resources, says Jimmy Oteni. And then this one is from Shola in Gwangolada, who says, good afternoon, Swat. Great job. I think there's a lot that is wrong with everything about the nation Nigeria, from leadership to followership. As long as citizens continue to aid and enable these things by collecting peanuts through different means and names from the system, it will continue. It's so sad and unfortunate. All right, Geronimo from Duse Alaji said, any money allocated to constituency project, in my opinion, is a redundancy of the local government. I think the money should be repurposed and then autonomy granted to the local government to function while our lawmakers focus on their jobs, just like how they are designated according to the Constitution. While this one is from Oludade Abiodun, who said, "Good afternoon, SWAT. Nigerian politicians are equal, both those in government now and those in opposition." Don't forget, those in opposition were once in government. What did they do different? Ambik from Guags, you said the allegation is ethnic and political. Why did the senator make the allegation to a sectional Hausa media outfit? Why not in a general TV like NTA? Because the president and Senate president are from the South. They want to tarnish their image. When Lowell, the former Senate president from the North, and Northern president was there, they became rubber stamp. And oh yes, if he was alleging on the constituency project, they senators are all guilty of it, then it's understandable. Besides, this is trying to use ethnicity to cause chaos and heat up the polity. The constituency project should be scrapped. Okay, yeah, I mean, that was also something that was debated, based on the sectionalism. But if you listen to him when he talked, he was saying that based on their own findings, that there have been allocation to constituencies in Nigeria amounting to humongous amounts, over 100 billion for some, and then some are having less than 2 billion and some even less than 1 billion. So that was what he was questioning. The verifying of that is something that is left to be said, because many of them stood up and spoke heatedly and said, well, that's bringing a lot of question on the integrity of the House, as nothing like that actually exists. But yes, we have CSOs, we have individuals, we have Nigerians who are up to the task of, fact-checking these things, because it now calls on us once again. What have we done with regard to scrutinizing, to taking a closer look at the budget? Just like a budget foundation has made revelation right now, that indeed there are some allocations that do not have details. So why should we have that sort of thing on our budget? Which calls for lots of questioning. And that's why it's very important that the process of accountability and transparency in governance should not be, belittled in any way, because that's what gives rise to this sort of doubt as to the ethnicity and all the other colorations. Well, you cannot take it away from our politics. It's something that we see all the time. So, yeah, let's take on more callers, more opinions on constituency project. Remember, we're looking at that, and we want to know what you think. Hello.
Beautiful Swat.
Hi.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Long time.
Long time. Good to hear from you.
The question is, should consequences project remain or go? It should go. You hear the name I call it? Consequences. Because Udube said, if you move this department to Lagos, there will be consequences. So that is what we are seeing now. But on a serious note, it should go. We have local government, we have chairman, we have councillor. If we do anything, which is closer to the people, I think it's the local government that is closer to the people. But the question I want to ask you, Auntie Swat, is what are the things that made of this project we are talking about? Borehole. If Waterboard gives us water, do you need a borehole? They will say they put a transformer. If PHCN or NEPA gives lights, do we need transformer? You talk about road. If those in charge of road construction are doing their job, do you need to give any senator money to go do road? No. The function of these people is to make law. But why most of us vie for position, we do all we could, is because of this contract that you are seeing. Why? Because when you award contract, without even asking for anything, the contractor will know that he will give you package during your tie season. That is people that are, I'm talking of people that are incorruptible. They will come in the form of gifts and give you. Then we have another group that we even negotiate with you that this road, you say it will cost 50 million, make it 300 million. Then you give me the other part. The truth of the matter is, what is paining me is most of the time, this money, we borrow this money. It's not like we even have the money like Qatar. We borrow this money and look at what we are using it for. I'll conclude by saying that we have a long way to go in this country if we will succeed. We don't see light in my area at all. Nobody is saying anything about it. What we have is, and just as somebody said, with time, it will come, it will go, nothing will happen. But let me tell you, during presidential election, most people, especially in FCT, when they voted for their presidential candidate, they will vote for those people under sharing the same logo. Why? Because they feel they don't want to make mistake. None of these people will come out to tell us the truth. All of them, once they get to Senate or House or wherever they are, they behave as brothers and sisters. Nobody will tell us what is going on. And do you think we'll continue like this and succeed? When I was in secondary school, I went to a big man's school, but the school fee was peanuts. I went to university, the total amount I paid is 18,000 naira. When they increased it to 4,000, we closed down that school. The whole of my university, 18,000, apart from accommodation and other things. As parents, what you are paying for primary school and secondary schools? We are more like government of ourselves. I provide light, water, school, almost everything. If you go to this budget, if you have time and it's why you will weep. We have one aspect that they want to renovate a worship center. My sister, worship center. We pay money for people to go and observe Adwa in different countries. Either they go to Saudi Arabia or they go to Israel. Is that how a country is being governed? This money they are giving them, do they send the money directly to their account, or you have a particular account called project account that they will send the money? Who are the people regulating that account? Because we've been talking about the humanitarian minister. We are not seeing this aspect of it. How do they send this money to senators?
I think that is done in collaboration with what ministry is that? They don't give it to them directly, though. And they say that it goes through a ministry of, is it, I think, budget or something like that, who aligns with the contract based on the ideas of what the senators want to do. So the contractors are getting, but of course, we always have our way in this country. So even if it's not given to them,
I know. You are engaging me. You are engaging me. Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
In my area, the senator, does he come to us and say, my people, what do you want? We will not give him. He will present it to Senate, upon which they will approve the money. Because if I see them doing anything in my area, I would think that it's charity. I never knew that they are giving them money. They should stop it. They should face lawmaking. All these heads of organization, they should face what they are there. They should leave contract. Once you remove that aspect, many people don't go vouch for position. Do you know that it's not the salary that is the problem? The problem is all these small things that people are gathering. It hurts me to be a Nigerian. No wonder our people are jackpotting everywhere. They go to countries, they treat them as if they are slaves. They are not human beings. Yet somebody will come. Somebody won election, they say it's an Okada man in a particular political party, simply because in fact they gave him the ticket free. They talk.
All right.
What a country. Bye-bye.
All right. Thank you so much, Mrs. Omeza. Okay. That thing about constituency project, I'm sure people have lots and lots of questions as to even, how do you assess the needs assessment for the constituents? I've worked in the CSO circles before, and that was one thing. I know we've paid a visit to some constituencies asking about projects executed. In fact, I remember when we went to this particular place, I think in Sokoto back then, and we're asking, and they were talking about what the senator back then was doing for them, which they said is very useless to them. That what they want are, road networks, but that he would come and give some peanuts or just, gather people, share money, and that would be it. So it's a right question to ask. How do you even assess the needs of your constituents? That's why every senator, every representative should have an office, constituent office, where he is able to interface with them. Even if you cannot be there, you have an officer or you have staff there who interface with the people to understand what are the needs. Not like what we operate where people come, hey, my wife gave birth, I need money to buy Pampers. No, not those sort of things, because it's not even your business. If you want to be charitable at that level, it's okay, But the things that we see happening, especially when you go back home to some of these constituents, you'll be shocked. It's a matter of charity. People come and collect 5,000, come and collect 10,000, or they gather them in town hall and they buy maybe 100 bags of rice and say, okay, people should share. Most of the time you get to see it, but how effective some of these constituency projects are impacting the lives of these constituents who are supposed to have dividends of democracy, because that's what is the driving factor in the first place is, right? If you take a look at many African countries right now, they're operating that, that model, what you call the constituency project. And in some places, I think they call them the Constituency Development Fund, whereby many of these developing nations, African nations most especially, collect monies. And then you find out that these monies are often budgeted. They are included in the budget, whether at the state or federal level, where this constituency budgets are put in or factored in. And then somehow there is a process by which the monies get to the hands of the contractors, depending on what ideas these representatives or these senators have to execute for their constituents. But we're asking, is it something that is realistic, feasible? Is it something that reaches and touches the people? Because one of the ways, or at the height of the agitation for constituency project, when the Fourth Republic came on, they said, well, we need these funds so that our people can have quick projects. In the sense that if you leave it to the federal government alone, it's going to take a long period of time before some of these developments come close to the people. So, for example, lighting, or you want to put street lights, or you want to make road networks, you find out that at the federal level, some of these villages, these urban areas, these constituencies are not put in place. So they started agitating for it and saying, well, we need to also give it back to our constituents so that they will feel, in small measures, the effect of the dividends of democracy. And so that was at the height of it until we are where we are right now, and questions are still being asked, 20-something years after, how effective has constituency project allocation been? And how much of the dividends have the people gotten from that which their representatives keep collecting? And is it something that is sustainable? Is it something that should just be scrapped out and we should leave that to the local government to continue like some of you have advocated? Well, these are the questions I want for us to answer. And we've been taking on and sampling different opinions. Let's take, I think, this message before we quickly run for trending news. Then we'll come back and round up. Billy from Kubwa said the unfortunate thing about the so-called constituency project or corruption in the Senate is that it's been legitimized. This is what Fela called authority. Okay, let's leave that out. Okay, and this one quickly is from David in Gwagwalada. He said, for transparency in constituency project, lawmakers should be made to outline desired projects to the Federal Ministry of Works, which would in turn receive tenders from qualified contractors that will handle the job properly. The project should be funded directly by the ministry. No funds should go to the lawmaker. And that's what they said actually happens. But like I said, we always find our way. Let's take on trending news and come back to round up this conversation.
We hear that various petrol stations are saddled with long vehicular queues for petrol. We also hear that some filling stations are closed, and those that are operating are only selling.
This is Nigeria Info.